Good evening, Bournemouth fans. Cherries tonight have been knocked out of the Carabao Cup at the hands of Manchester City. It was 2-1 at the Etihad, and as you can see, I'm joined by podcast regular Tom Jordan. How are you, Tom?
Yeah, very well, thanks, mate.
And feeling all right after that?
Yeah, I think we expected a comfortable win for City, really, and with the players they still had available, and we could have easily taken to pens in the end. It was really a lot of more positives than negatives on the back of that tonight.
Yeah, and Man City, they named, there were a number of academy players. They had players like Riyad Mahrez starting, but their bench was ridiculously strong, I thought.
Yeah, it was. I think that's a massive compliment to us. You see a lot of teams I saw, like Liverpool tonight, made similar changes to City, but didn't have Salah, Mane, the big boys on the bench. But City having, Sterling, De Bruyne, some... And, they say academy players. Well, Phil Foden, do you know what I mean? And Riyad Mahrez, like you say, Kyle Walker led the team out. Even players like Eric Garcia, Rodri, they had some real quality in there. So we rested just as many as they did, in my opinion. So, really impressed with our performance.
And what do you think of the lineup? Because it was a 5-3-2 formation, and I think most of it was pretty much predicted by many of us, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I think it was very similar to the last round against Palace. Obviously, they switched the keepers, which we expected, because Begovic got a start in the league. Switched the wing back from Stacey to Smith, which is neither or really. That's probably fair. And I probably didn't expect Brooks to start just because he played in the league, and obviously with his fitness worries. But it was kind of as expected. Wasn't sure whether Kelly would or not. Felt a bit for Zamora, but I wonder if from the off, Jason probably thought, like Samara is going to be playing on that right. They have a little bit of experience in there, and obviously Rico's been out, probably could do with a minute. So, I understood, and I was quite happy with the team.
A number of us were expecting Josh King to start tonight, but he didn't. Maybe he's not ready, maybe he's being saved for the weekend, or maybe, as a couple of people have said, maybe that increases his value, the fact that he's not cup tied potentially. That's something that we might have not considered before the game, but I think a lot of us were expecting King to start, but he didn't. Brooks and Surridge, and as the game went on, I thought those two combined pretty well, but I thought it was a really good start from Bournemouth. It was a little bit shaky, but we manufactured some good chances, and we didn't look overawed, did we?
No, I mean, I always expected, which happened, City to have most of the ball, and that started as soon as the game went, but I probably didn't expect us to be so much of a threat on the break. And in them early parts, they had all the possession. They looked like the team that were the better side, but we looked just as much of a threat on the break as they did with the possession. I thought the way we were organised, it was quite obvious that we were virtually a five a lot of the time.
It was, yeah.
But everyone was kind of doing their roles really well, and it looked like it was a real planned tactic from JT and the boys, and that we were performing really well. So, it was impressive.
I felt a bit for Diego Rico being thrown back in and having to face Walker and Mahrez on the right-hand side of the pitches. That was being, thrown from the frying pan into the fire somewhat. But I thought he coped pretty well. But I've got to say, it was Man City that manufactured the clearer chances at the start of the game. Travers was on call both times. I think there was a shot from, was it Torres, and then another from Mahrez, and all from a tight angle, and they're saves that you probably expect him to make, but a good confidence booster for our keeper. That's, let's face it, in his last match he made a bit of an error.
Yeah, he didn't do himself any harm tonight. Like you say, it's saves that he expected to make, but he made them. He was still there to make them. I thought he looked assured, and you kind of need that as keeper. He probably would have wanted that before the game. An early chance, nice easy save. Comfortable push out, and just to build that confidence up. And obviously we'll go into the goals that neither he was at fault for. And I think in general it was a good night. Good night for Travers, as long as he's alright after that little bump at the end.
So, even though we've only just watched the match, remind me of the first goal, because I completely forgot it was Delap that scored, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Foden played a nice ball. I remember thinking at the time that I thought, was Surridge fouled there? I think we were making an attack.
He lost the ball in the middle of the park, didn't he?
I haven't seen it back, so he might have just been too weak. I remember at the time calling for a foul, but they broke quite well. And like I said, that's probably because we looked so organised, and we were kind of really restricted them. It kind of took us to be on the offensive for them to break, which kind of cut us open. And it was Foden with a classy ball, and Delap just absolutely rinsed Simpson for pace. Unfortunately, I think for the majority of the night, the back three worked really well. But when Simpson was exposed on that occasion, he was a bit flat-footed, and Delap, the young lad, took the goal really well, to be fair to him.
A lot of criticism on Twitter. I've seen a few tweets aimed at Simpson for that, and he was fairly flat-footed. But I think the nature of the way Man City play is that when they do score, they always do catch you flat-footed because they are just that bit sharper. But one thing I didn't realise about Delap, he's a certain someone's son.
Yeah, Rory.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see him take a throw in tonight, so we obviously ain't got that out of result. But he looked like a good player. I mean, I can't remember, apart from his throw-ins, I can't remember Rory Delap being a great player. But he looked, I mean, I didn't realise he was 17. And to be fair to him, he looked quite lively and up for it, which you'd expect, I suppose. But yeah, he was quite impressive. But yeah, it was just the pace that got the better of Simpson on that occasion, unfortunately.
But we got back into it within 4 or 5 minutes, and it was a cracking goal from Sam Surridge, and it all started through Phil Billing winning the ball back, or you're being on the ball in the penalty area, and then I think maybe you fed Gosling, you fed Brooks, and Brooks seemed to be on the ball for an eternity, and he cut right across the pitch. I thought he was going to feed in Rico on that left hand side. I think it was Rico on the left, and he didn't. He then cut back inside and fed Dan Gosling again, who played in Sam Surridge, and the ball slightly held up for him. But what a shot on the turn and into the corner of the net. I mean,
He took it really well.
Cracking goal, wasn't
I mean,
it?
I've seen, like I say, thank God he's got a goal and hasn't been ruled out. You know, he keeps scoring, it keeps getting ruled out. So I was really chuffed for him. Probably, before the game, if I probably, expecting a defeat, I'd probably say one of the things I really like to see is Surridge's bag a goal, because I think it'd be really good for him, because the longer he goes without scoring, and at the end of the day, he's not our main striker in the league, so he's only going to get a few cup games when we eventually go out, tonight. So for him to notch a goal in there is really going to boost him massively, and I think that's the thing. I think when he doesn't have too much time to think about it, he just kind of turns and hits it. He seems to find them corners. I mean, he obviously done it at youth level, and it was a really tidy finish, to be fair to him.
And it was not long after that, we were starting to think, actually, maybe we can take him to penalties. But Lloyd Kelly went off, not too sure of the extent of his injury, and he walked off the pitch, so you'd think it wouldn't be too bad, but he seemed to know straight away, and that's when Rico moved inside, and Zamora, who was lucky not to get named in the starting 11 based on his performance in the last round against Palace, came on the left hand side, and so Rico was playing part of that 3, even though the commentator kept on calling it a 4. Lloyd Kelly, a worry ahead of Norwich, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big blow. I mean, we only had kind of a handful of players that played on the weekend, and obviously Kelly's one of them, and I think because of the lack of numbers we probably have in that area, and JT obviously wants to play that 3 at the back, we were forced into having to play a Mepham, Cook or a Kelly. Obviously Kelly played in the last round, and he obviously stuck with that. Maybe he felt the balance was better because of Kelly on that left side, but that was I mean, if you had spoke to JT beforehand, obviously he would have said we want to win the game, but he would have deep down said, as long as we don't get any injuries. So that was a killer. I hope we're just over worrying because of the fact that Kelly's had his injury problems. I hope it's just a little knock and they've just gone get him off for precaution. I was pleased that he brought on Zamora and not an obvious one like Steve Cook, because we just can't afford.
True, good point.
But yeah, to be fair, I felt we coped with that. I mean, we were losing one of our best players and bringing on a kid, really, and with no real experience. And you wouldn't have really known. I thought Rico slotted in really well, and Zamora was excellent. So.
Zamora, I've been really impressed by his ability to get forward. He's very composed on the ball. Even in tight spaces, he was playing out and making sure ball was getting to feet. And yeah, he got forward a number of times. Won a good free kick later on in the second half, which I'm sure we'll come on to. One that we probably should have taken more advantage of than what we did. And I don't know. Like on the first half performance, I was feeling really positive about it. I thought, most players were having a good game. There's always the usual criticisms that get aimed at certain players, like Philip Billing looking a bit pedestrian. But he did all right. I think later on, as the game went on, we can maybe say that certain players didn't perform as well as they did. But arguably, in that first half of the second 45, we had 2 golden opportunities, both with Sam Surridge. I think David Brooks was involved in both of them. First one, he sort of played him in, and he had a few sort of City defenders in front of them, but he just tried to forge a gap and get a shot away, but he didn't. He got closed down right at the last minute, and then he had another chance, which was a sweeping ball, I think, from the right from Brooks, sort of almost played over the top, and he had a chance there, but it was so good to see us opening City up in that way.
Yeah, it was really impressive. Like I said, we knew that we were going to come under the cosh, especially in the second half. But in games like that, where you're going to be under pressure, you've got to have something on the break. You've got to offer something for them to worry about. Otherwise, they have literally not got to worry about defending at all. And that was probably what stopped their kind of fullbacks bombing on. Is that they were wary of Brooks. Brooks was so creative and he was causing so many problems. And to be fair to Surridge, he probably he wasn't outstanding tonight, but he got his goal. And yeah, maybe looking back at it, could he have maybe slid someone in with that chance where it got blocked? But I kind of like the fact that our striker has got a goal and he's shown confidence. He's head that I'm going to go for it here.
Well, let's face it, we need a striker like that. Given the fact that Dominic Solanke is always looking to pass rather than shoot, we do need a striker that can be selfish and can have a go.
The best strikers are selfish.
Yeah,
definitely.
100%. And I think sometimes Solanke's not that natural striker, and hopefully he'll become a little bit more ruthless. But I did enjoy seeing that in Sam, and he's confidence is obviously coursing through his veins, and I'm really pleased at how we were playing as a side. And if you ever want a compliment, then just look at the substitutions that City bring on: Kevin de Bruyne, Raheem Sterling, and so when you've got them two on the pitch along with Mahrez, Phil Foden, Mendy, Walker, their new signing Torres. Garcia, who you said's got some.
Yeah, he played quite a lot in the Premier League.
Rodri as well.
Yeah.
Academy players. Well, not sure about that, but either way, I thought that that was such a huge compliment, and ultimately, it worked out for Man City, didn't it? With their goal
it did, which was probably expected. I think Pep would have probably. It was a compliment at the start, like I said, to name them on the bench, but he had them there just in case. He'd have been desperately hoping he didn't have to bring them on. But yeah, the more the game went on, they had to bring them on. That is a massive compliment. And as much as they ended up winning the game, and they certainly gave him that little bit more, because Kevin de Bruyne is probably the best player in the league, in the Premier League, and obviously Sterling, his numbers speak for themselves. But, I still felt we dealt with them okay. We were, working hard. There was a few nice little tactical fouls on De Bruyne as soon as he got the ball, but I think, we were tiring, we worked our socks off, and they're bringing on quality like that. It was really difficult. But yeah, I think, like you say, it was just a massive compliment to us, and I thought we coped with it well in the whole. It was just that one chance that they managed to dispatch, and that's what it is.
There were a couple of players that as I sort of alluded to moments ago, that I found a little bit frustrating as the game went on. One of whom was Philip Billing, I think, who. There've always been the same words that have been used: pedestrian, lethargic, slow. And there was a moment where I think there was a great ball played over the top to Sam Surridge, who to his credit, I think he was holding the ball up very well. He was getting flicks on, and he played in Billing, who was ahead of his marker, but he just didn't have the strength or aggression to actually drive forward, and he just looked a bit lackadaisical at times. I think had he had that, extra 20%, he could have, we could have forged a chance on goal. But as it was, we lost the ball. Man City recycled, and they went up the pitch. And in those situations, you're looking for someone with some strength and tenacity, almost like a Harry Arter.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one, because I can't, pretend to know, what Billing's thinking inside, but you can certainly see. I remember when we signed him, Huddersfield fans saying, he kind of goes through the motions, doesn't turn up and things like that. That is how he plays. He looks lethargic, he looks pedestrian, like you said. There's definitely technical ability there and quality, but you just feel like, oh God, what I would probably say is, there's certain players that come to mind when I think of the way he kind of strolls around the pitch. Dimitar Berbatov, for example. Yeah. But when he needed to provide some magic, he would.
Yeah.
Has Billing, is he good enough to be that? If he was pedestrian like that with the game, but you knew when he'd get the ball, he'd be like Brooks, he'd create something straight away. I don't think I'd like to see him show a bit more bite. I think, a few people have said Simpson, which I think is a little bit harsh, because I think it was just for that opening goal. I thought he was fine after that. I think Billing was the only kind of disappointment in terms of performance tonight. Still want a little bit more from him. I don't expect him to be doing what Gosling does and running around doing all that, but if he's going to be a little bit like that, I expect a little bit more quality on the ball and a little bit more fight. But apart from that, I would say everyone was pretty good.
I thought Brooks had a good game, and if you're comparing Mahrez to Brooks, I thought Brooks was probably better, and it seems he always seems to perform against Manchester City, because he did in lockdown, and he did again tonight. And I just thought that that role that he's got. As that sort of number 10, I thought he did really well. At the freedom of the park, could go left and right, and when he has that freedom and he's not tied to a particular flank, I think he looks great. He couldn't last the full match though, so maybe he's being kept behind for the Norwich match. I don't know, but it was good fitness for him, and maybe it showed Tyndall's intent when he brought on someone like Kilkenny. He could have put on Lerma, but when for Gavin Kilkenny, who let's be fair, I think it's been not unfair on him, but he seemed to be used a lot by Eddie, but Jason Tyndall not so much. But he got some good minutes as well and some good experience for him.
Yeah, and I think like we were saying earlier about kind of how it was a compliment to us with De Bruyne and stuff coming on. I think it's a compliment to Brooks that we took him off in a weird way, because it's saying we value this much that we're trying to get a goal here, but we can't afford to keep you on the pitch. We need to take you off because we've got a massive game on the weekend. And I agree, Brooks it's clear that he's better in that role. He can roam around, he can pick the ball up from deep and drive, he can pick little pockets. I think that it's a good problem for JT to have, because I think he's probably looking at it and going, Brooks is clearly better in that role. I want to play the three at the back. The reason we can't do that in the league is because Dan Juma's performing too well for us to not play a natural winger. Yeah, I would probably like to see Brooks in that role and play Dan Juma more alongside Solanke and kind of play two with Brooks in behind, rather than playing Brooks and Dan Juma from wide positions. Because Brooks clearly, he can just get into the game more. Like you said, the problem with him playing wide, which he can clearly do, is then you've got someone that can just man mark him. Yeah. When he's roaming around like that, no one can really stick to him. And you got to think of it, they started the game with the player in that defensive midfield role who's probably trying to look after Brooks, was Rodri. He plays in the Premier League. He's a top player. He kind of just pockets them sort of players, and he couldn't get hold of Brooks. And yeah, I think my only worry, I don't want to be too negative about it, if there's any potential suitors having a look at Brooks thinking, do I make a late bid for him? Yeah. If they've watched tonight, that ain't going to put him off, because he was fantastic.
A number of pretty good performances that could give maybe not some headaches, but certainly might make him sleep a little bit easier tonight, including Zamora, who I thought was really good down the left side. But even Offerball as well, I thought he had a solid game, didn't he? As the right person on that central defensive three.
He was superb, and I think really if Kelly were to be out, obviously we're hopeful he's not. I think we've got a few options in there which I would be happy with, as much as I don't want Kelly out. I thought Rico done well when he slotted into that left centre, which would be a straight swap for Kelly. Yeah. Obviously Kelly is the main one we want to be fit, but Rico can do that job. But equally, I'd be happy to kind of manoeuvre it around a little bit to say Cookie go to the left side and bring Offerball in, because Offerball, he was good against Palace, but I thought he took it to another level tonight. I thought he was solid. Yeah, and we've got to remember that Offerball, obviously, I think JT's saying, if you want to get in this team, you're going to have to be one of them centre-halves, because we've got too many options in the middle of the park. That's not his position. No. And he's gone in there, and you'd expect an experienced player to struggle developing into a new position. I really rate the lad, and it's credit to him that we haven't let him have another season at Wickham, because we feel he's a part. And I genuinely now have got to a point where I think if he was chucked in the Championship game, it wouldn't worry me. I think he looks a real player. I'm really excited to see him progress. And Zamora, another one. I think the thing I like about Zamora is that he can take a few risks because he knows his pace can get him out of jail. There's a few players where you feel, that's true. Do you know what I mean? They don't want to lose. Someone like Simpson gets a lot of criticism. I think he's a bit underrated. I think he's an all right centre half. I think he's probably our fourth choice centre back. I can't imagine many Championship teams having a better fourth choice centre back.
And that's what a lot of people on Twitter are saying, that he's League One quality. So, but then if he's a fourth choice, then
you'd expect League One quality.
That's about right.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to get a better centre half who would take being the fourth choice. As much as I agree that he's not a kid anymore, he's mid-20s, and he probably hasn't kicked on as much as he would like, but that's probably almost because we haven't allowed him to go out on loan, because we've wanted him there in case of injury. Probably hasn't been able to develop. But what I was going to say is that he probably gets caught a few times because he hasn't got that pace. So when he maybe takes an extra touch or the wrong pass, he gets caught. So Zamora can afford to do that because he's got that natural pace, and I think that will really stand him in good stead. But yeah, Zamora and Offerball have been two of the real bright sparks in this mini little couple of games we've had.
Three players that we haven't really mentioned just yet. Old school players for AFC Bournemouth relatively. Adam Smith, Dan Gosling, Lewis Cook. How do you think they fared tonight? I thought Adam Smith was pretty effective on that right hand side. He got in some good possessions. I think Dan Gosling was Dan Gosling, and Lewis Cook showed some nice touches. And when he's got space, I don't know. I thought he did all right, and I'll be putting him in on Sunday against Norwich.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I think personally it's between, because Lerma will play obviously, and it's between Gosling and Lewis Cook. I thought Gosling deserved to start against Borough, and he disappointed in my opinion. I didn't think he had a good game. But then you literally, a few days later, and you've got the Dan Gosling that you know. I think if you're playing a team like City away, you need Dan Gosling. He's like the first name on the team sheet. Yeah. But in a game, going up against Norwich, they try and play good football. I'd rather have Lewis, and I'd probably agree with you. And, if we were to get the lead, you can bring on someone like a Gosling. But yeah, I was happy with Lewis and Gosling tonight. They've both done what they're being asked to do, I think. I'd love Lewis to just nick a goal or just something to bring his confidence up, because we know what he's got and he's not quite hitting the levels. But having said that, it's not his fault he's been kind of highlighted for England and all this stuff. He's still put in a good performance tonight, and Smithy was Smithy. He gives a threat, and he was that little bit of experience, and probably the right thing to do, I think, play Stacey against Palace and bring Smithy in tonight. But yeah, all three of them performed well, I thought.
Do you think tactically we got it right? Because it was sort of badged as a 3-5-2, but I mean it became a 5 at the back, and it was pretty clear. But it seemed to work, because when we did have the counters, we did manage to punish them. I thought, like overall, I'm feeling pretty good about that performance, and it actually fills me with a little bit more optimism than that 1-1 against Borough did, for sure. Because when you're playing players of that quality and you're managing to forge the chances that we did do, against a Norwich side that are going to be well drilled, but also a lot more quality than what Middlesbrough have, maybe we'll do all right.
Yeah, hopefully. I think it's a nice fixture for us. I think the problem, I think looking at the games we performed better, Blackburn, for example, I thought we were good offensively in the 3-2. Blackburn went and scored 5 the week after, so it shows that Blackburn are quite an attacking side. They've scored 7 goals in 2 games, and we beat them. Middlesbrough look like a team ain't got a goal in them really. They don't look like and we struggled. Man City, clearly an offensive team. We look good. I think the problem we're going to have this season is when we come up against their Middlesbrough type team, which there will be a lot of. We're one of the better teams in this league, so a lot of teams are going to go on then, break us down. And I think that's where we need someone like David Brooks to be on it, because we look better when we're playing against a better opposition, and we can go, come on then, we'll catch you on the break. And the problem is, a team like Middlesbrough, like we saw on the weekend, go on then, you try and break us down. And that's where we struggle, because there's no gaps. When you play a team like City, you're going to be under the cosh, but there's going to be gaps every time you break. So I think that's something that we've got to look at. But with people like Brooks, with people like Lewis Cook, as games go on and they get fitter and they get sharper, I still think we should have enough there. And them sort of games are where we're being told that's where I want to see people like Smith and Stacey. You don't need to be in a 5 now. You could be wingers now. Let's take the game to them, because they've got enough. So, yeah, there's a lot of positives. There's a few little things, I think, just from the opening signs for the games that shows that we're very good on the counter-attack, but we need to be able to create when teams are setting up like Borough did against us. So, but that'll be something that JT will certainly see. And we're not going to, against Norwich, we're not going to have a 5. We will bring Stacey back in, and we'll be trying to really bomb them full-backs on, so wing-backs.
Yeah, it's looking positive. So Bournemouth went out the Carabao Cup. It was 2-1 at the hands of Manchester City. I think most of us really expected it, but a decent performance though. Tom, thank you very much, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And stay tuned and subscribe, because there's Norwich previews on the way. And of course, we'll be back for the free-for-all after the match at the Vitality as well. We'll see you in the next video. Have the Cherries.
Have Cherries.